everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a restorative yoga practice, so it is all about being relaxed and comfortable, and there are a couple of props that you might like to have to do this practice. So you can see here I have this little pile of goodies. I have 2 yoga blocks, so anything around this size, a couple of larger books work. We're mostly going to use these to prop up our larger cushion, so you can use a small firm couch cushion as well if you want something more kind of soft and squishy. So just 2 similarly sized objects. About this size is a 4-inch, this is probably like a by 10-inch block, but the depth about 4 inches is a little bit more important than anything else. If you had something that was half this size, that would also work. You'll want 1 blanket, a beach towel, any kind of throw. This is mostly just to pull over you and make you toasty and warm, and maybe to use to support your head and your neck. And then finally, if you have a yoga bolster, fantastic. If you do not have a yoga bolster, no problem. You can absolutely use a couple of pillows from your bed just to make them so that when you lie on it, this is pretty firm. You want a little bit more support than just usually 1 pillow would give you. Couch cushions are fantastic. If it is wider than this, that is totally okay. This is probably about 8 inches wide. Anything up to 10 or 12 inches wide is also fine. So those will be the things that you want. Go ahead, take a moment to gather them together. I'm not going to get started for another second, just in case you don't have all this stuff just handy in your house, which why would you? You're not a yoga teacher maybe, so why would you have this all in one spot? So take a moment, gather all your stuff. I'll get started setting up, but don't feel like you need to do anything unless you're completely ready. I'll explain everything again in a second. Welcome back. Hopefully you have a few things. If not, don't worry, still take your time. All you are going to need for this first pose is your couple of pillows, your couch cushion, your bolster, and maybe a little bit of support, block, cushion, a couple of books back behind that for your head. So you're going to set that up towards the back of your mat, just a little bit of space, maybe about the distance of your palm apart between your big bolster and your smaller support, your block. Once you have that, you're going to sit a little bit in front of that support. And as you lie back, you want your shoulder blades to be supported by this bolster or your stack of pillows or whatever it happens to be. So as you come to lie back, just make sure your shoulder blades are supported. And you can have your arms on the bolster with you, or if you like a deeper back bend, you can take your arms over the top of the bolster here. And then this other little prop is for your head, so you can rest your head comfortably here. And as you start to get situated, just want to find a spot that feels good. I like my knees tented with my feet slightly wider so my knees can knock in like a little teepee, but you might like to have your legs extended long or pointing straight up to the ceiling. Pick what feels nice for your lower back. And remember, this is restorative yoga. This is about feeling good and putting your body in a place where it can begin to relax. So if you get into a posture and you think, this just feels not good, don't stay there. Adjust. Move around. Increase or decrease the height of your bolster or the height of your prop underneath your head if you want. Take a little bit of time to get into this place. Again, if you've been gathering supplies and you're just joining in, you have a medium, this is about 4 inches high, 2 bed pillows, couch cushion underneath your shoulder blades. And then another support yoga block, stack of books, other cushion underneath your head to support your head. And all we're looking for here is that you feel a little bit of space at the center of your chest. And as you begin to feel that space at the center of your chest, maybe you can close your eyes. Now start to feel the center of your chest. Maybe you felt that little bit of stretch. What else do you feel there? Do you feel the movement of your breath? What does it feel like when you breathe in? And when you breathe out? As you focus in on your heart, that's what we're doing here, focusing in on the center of the chest, the heart center. Notice if any thought, any idea, any emotion arises here. Is there something that pops up? Sometimes what pops up is something beneficial, positive, something to aspire towards. Maybe it's a thought or a feeling. But other times what pops up is something negative, something that needs to be worked on, maybe needs to be worked through or let go of. So whatever pops up, don't dismiss it because you think, oh, I've already done it, or oh, it's, not something that's a happy, positive thought. It's not calm or relaxation or, breathing deeply. Just take a moment to examine whatever it is that appears in your consciousness here. Whatever it is, maybe you'd like to set that as part of your intention for this class, whether it's something to nourish, something good that is already happening, maybe giving that seed a little water, a little sunlight, a little nourishment, or it's something that maybe you'd like to let go of, something you'd like to work out of. Both of those things are so good to acknowledge. Just take the next few moments. Perhaps set that as your intention for the rest of this class. Letting go or breathing it in deeper. As you're ready, you're going to point your knees straight up at the ceiling so the soles of your feet are on the floor. Maybe wiggle your toes a few times, blink your eyes, wiggle your fingers around. And then you might begin to take your knees a little from right to left like windshield wipers, just loosening up your lower back. And then as you're ready, just roll yourself all the way over to one side. Take a breath or two, just rest here for a moment. You can even close your eyes again if that feels good. And then from there, begin to press yourself up to a seated position. I'm going to sit facing you so you can see what I'm doing, but you're welcome to sit facing any area of your mat. For this next one, you don't necessarily need any props. You can take a moment to move your cushions and your blocks out of the way. If you feel like it's uncomfortable to sit fully on the floor, you are more than welcome to grab your blanket. And you can always sit up onto any height of blanket that feels good. Placing that blanket underneath your hips, we're going to fold forward for a few moments, and it can be really nice to have some extra support underneath the hips. When you feel like you have the right amount of support underneath the hips, bring the soles of the feet together. And you want to sit with the heels far enough in front of you so that you can sit up relatively straight and tall in this position. You're not doing this. This is easy and relaxed. This is a variation on butterfly pose, which is a yin yoga pose. Let your fingertips rest down inside the diamond of your legs. Roll your shoulders back. Breathe deeply in. And as you exhale, fold forward and just fold until you feel a stretch. You're welcome to hold onto your feet or walk your hands in front of them. As you fold, bring your belly towards your spine. Tuck your chin towards your chest. And here, see if again you can feel your breath, but this time, can you feel the breath at the very back of your heart, at the space between your shoulder blades? And you might decide that just staying right here in this forward fold is the perfect place. Or you might join me in taking a little bit of an extra stretch for the chest. Press your fingertips down, lift yourself up a little bit in the torso, and walk your fingertips to the right side of the mat, or over to your right. It doesn't have to be terribly far, but you can go as far as framing your knee just until you feel a stretch along the sides of the body. Again, soften a little into this. It's not about your deepest stretch that you've ever done. It's about, can you actually focus on your breath here without being distracted by the stretch of your hips or your lower back. Those are present, but they're not the main focus. Maybe walking your fingertips over to the other side. And a little bit melty here. Soften as you enter into the pose. You might even wiggle your jaw from side to side. Keep relaxing. If you find yourself in any of these postures today, gripping, holding, tensing in an effort to stay, remind yourself, maybe now walking your fingertips back to the center line for a few breaths. This is restorative. That means it should feel restoring. It should feel relaxing. That is what our props are for. We add them or subtract them to make relaxation possible. When you're ready, walk your fingertips in. Roll your shoulders back. Gather your knees in. They may have gotten a little stiff out there to the side, so bring your feet about hip distance apart, hands behind you, and maybe again a few windshield wipers. And then just come to a comfortable seat. Recommended would be sitting with your feet on the floor, maybe your legs out long, or simple cross-legged seat if that's comfortable for you. You want somewhere where both of your sits bones, you can sit up onto a blanket here as well, you can stay on your blanket, are touching the support beneath you, the blanket, the mat, whatever you are sitting on. Relax your hands downwards. Either soften your gaze towards the floor or close your eyes and begin to draw circles with your torso. And you have the opportunity to decide, does a really big circle feel good? Or a small circle? One spot in the circle feels really good. You can hesitate, you can pause there and just enjoy that stretch. And circling as well, the other direction. And maybe you find that spot that's just right. It may be different, or it might be the same going the other direction. You can kind of notice that. And then as you're ready, just come back to the center line. Keep your gaze soft or your eyes closed if you can. Take a deep breath in, grow tall through the crown of your head. As you breathe out, twist to your right. You bring your right hand down onto your right leg somewhere and your left hand behind you. Take a deep breath in and your twist again, grow tall. And as you breathe out, relax. As you inhale, you're going to come back to the center line. And as you exhale, you simply now twist the other direction. Let your hands come to that place that feels right and supportive to you. Inhale, lift and grow through the crown of the head. Exhale, relax. The center line. Blink your eyes open. We'll continue into our restorative, our supported practice. For this one, you'll want your large bolster or your stack of pillows. You can clear your other props over to the side. And there are a couple of different ways to come into this. If you have a bolster that's easy to slide on your mat, you might start with that bolster right underneath your knees. If you have a couple of pillows that are going to get all kind of messed up as you slide around, you might decide to sit on top of that prop before you come into this. And what we're going to do is just use the prop to support our hips. So either way, prop underneath the knees, prop underneath the buns. You're going to roll yourself back towards the floor. I recommend using your hands, especially if you're up on that high prop there. And once you're lying on the floor, your hips might already be supported, or you might use your heels to snuggle the bolster in towards you, lift the hips up, and take that prop underneath the hips. And again, I call this being the puppy dog. You've seen a puppy dog lie down, or really any dog, not just a puppy. First, you have to assess the area. Maybe give it a little sniff. And then you have to turn around once, maybe, or twice, or 3 times. And then you lie down. And you say, is this just right? Does it feel good? Or is there an adjustment? Maybe I have to circle again Find a spot that feels like your hips are supported. Let your arms come to a place that feels lovely and open. Take your time. This is a slow meditative practice, and it's fine if it takes you a while to get into that meditative place. We have the time to really allow ourselves to get comfortable. You could stay right here with the soles of your feet on the floor. This is supported bridge pose. Or you could come into a psoas, release one. Or both legs down to the end of the mat. A little stretch out your hip flexors, your quadriceps. In either of those places, you're welcome to take your arms over your head. And stay in either variation just as long as feels good. You can always alternate. You can always adjust the height of the prop. As you settle in, let your attention come back to the breath. Worked on feeling the breath in the heart. And maybe now you can begin to feel the breath in your core, around the area of your belly button. You can feel the rise and fall of your abdominal muscles. Continue to relax. If you find any part of the body that is gripping, holding, tensing, see if you can let it go. Sometimes that mental reminder, soften your jaw, it's just plenty. You don't need to physically move around. And if that is not enough, and you need to adjust your position, please do not hesitate to do so. breath in. Feel both your belly and your heart expanding. Deep breath out through the mouth like a big sigh. If you took your feet down to the bottom of the mat, walk them in so your knees are pointing up. If you took your arms overhead, bring them down by your side. When you're ready, press into your heels, lift your hips, and slide or squish your props out of the way before lowering the hips to the floor. From there, you might like to hug your knees one and then the other in towards your chest. Give yourself a gentle rock from right to left. Feel like you could bring the soles of your feet up to the sky here and take a happy baby as well. Bring the knees wide towards the armpits. And when you're ready, knees come back towards the chest again. You'll rock yourself all the way over to one side. Go to the side that feels easy and comfortable. And then use your hands to press yourself up. For this next pose, you're going to want, again, your large bolster or selection of cushions. And you'll want a block or block-like object. And what we're going to do here is place the block. You can go higher or lower. You can adjust as we go. Back there at the front of your mat, the top of your mat, you want to create a little ramp with your bolster. Now, if you have really soft pillows, you can always place 2 props underneath to create that ramp at varying heights. And you can do that if your prop is even quite firm and doesn't really need it, but why not? And then here, we're going to lie on one hip. So if your hips tend to be tender or you're just practicing on a hard floor, you might like to take your blanket and just open it down over the end part of your mat. You can fold it into a height that feels comfortable on which to rest your hip. Then you're going to sit with your hip and start on either side. I'm starting facing you, so I'm starting on my right side. Hip kind of right up against the bolster. What you want to do here is just swing your legs out to the side to create a pinwheel type shape. And this is very individual. You might end up with your knees more stacked together. You might end up with a really wide pinwheel with your knee behind your opposite foot. Adjust and see what feels comfortable. Feel free to prop things underneath the knees or the hips to get to that comfortable place. And then here you're gonna turn to face towards your bolster. You can use your fingertips to frame it. Lift up as you inhale, and as you exhale, lie yourself down. So you'll end up a little bit on the bottom side of the body. You can curl your arms around and hug your support. If you have space, you can tuck your hands underneath if you're on a firm prop. And please don't worry if your prop is a little more squishy, a little more close to the floor. It's just providing a little bit of support for the body. So you just want to feel, again, that place that feels comfortable. Wiggle around a little bit to get in. Don't worry about the appearance. Worry about the sensation. Does this feel nice to your hips and your back? Do you feel adequately supported? And then as you begin to kind of settle in again to this position, you find that place that feels nice. You might close your eyes. Come back to your breath. And this one's a little harder, but maybe you can begin to feel your breath in your hips.
Feel what happens in your lower back as you breathe in and out. Here we're about at the halfway mark of our class. And if you'd like, you can just gently bring back to mind your intention for this class. And it's not like you have to ruminate, you just bring it back, whatever it was, a thought, a feeling, a word, a goal. It's kind of just like you wave hello to it. You're crossing paths. Hello, how are you? And that's it. You're just remembering that it's there. Again, breathe in deeply. And sigh the breath out. Come out of this posture. You'll want to dry your hands as you're ready underneath your shoulders and gently press your hands down to lift the torso up. And here all you're going to do is move over to the second side. So you just turn a little over towards that opposite hip, making any adjustments that you might need. Sitting next to the bolster, pinwheeling the legs in the way that feels best to your body. Turn to frame the bolster. On your inhale, lengthen that bottom side of your body, grow tall. And on your exhale, lie yourself down. And again, situate your hands comfortably. Situate your legs comfortably. Take your time. And again, the breath takes over. You notice the breath in your hip bones, in your lower belly. It's subtle. The movement of the breath is there. See if you can find it. Deep breath in. Full sigh out. As you're ready, guiding your hands under the shoulders. And gently pressing yourself up to a seated position. From here, I'm going to elevate our legs a little bit into a really easy transition because all you're going to do is turn around now to face the top of your mat, and you're going to take your legs up your bolster. Now, if you are close to a wall at home, when you have a legs up the wall in your practice and that is just your favorite thing, I know it is for many of us, feel free to throw that in. You can absolutely do that, but this is a nice option where we're going to elevate the legs, reverse some lymph flow, and you don't need anything particular that we don't already have. So from here, you're just going to lie yourself down. Your legs are up along that bolster. You might find that you like to cross your ankles here. That might feel really nice. Maybe not. I'm quite partial to resting my hands on my belly, but your hands could be anywhere that feels good to your body. As you settle in here, you want to find a space where your shoulder blades can relax against the floor. You can soften your jaw. As you settle into this position, again, you find your breath. And now see if you can direct your breath. This takes a little bit of imagination. direct your breath into your legs. So that every time you breathe in, it's like you're not just drawing breath into your lungs and into your belly, but that breath is rising up like the mercury in an old-time thermometer, up your legs, through your thighs, to your knees, to your calves, all the way to the soles of your feet. And then as you exhale, the breath comes back down the ankles, the shins, the hamstrings, back out the belly, out of the chest. So that with each breath, you're feeling it in your legs, and becoming aware how the breath supports every part of this practice. Happen to be crossing your ankles, perhaps you'd like to switch sides. Again, relax, let go. Feel your muscles, your tendons, your tissues melting like a pat of butter on a hot biscuit. big sigh out. If you crossed up the legs, just gently uncross them. Whether you have your legs on the bolster or at the wall, you might flex and point your toes. Roll your ankles around. And when you're ready, you can draw your knees in towards your chest. And rock a little. Massaging the lower back. Of course, you're welcome to come back to happy baby here as well. And when you're ready, you roll again all the way over to that side that feels just right. And make your way to seated. Next, we are going to take a child's pose, and you are welcome to use the support of your bolster, whether you like your bolster a little bit elevated in your child's pose or you want to remove some props. If you need to set them up again, go ahead. But what you want to do is sit on your knees. I like knees wide to straddle the bolster a little bit here so I can get a little extra support. Sitting back on the heels, crawling forward. And if you want that support of the bolster, you can wrap your arms around it, snuggle in here. You can also practice this child's pose unsupported, taking your bolster, your blocks, any props out of the way, and just coming to that child's pose. And this is a little bit more on the intense end of a restorative yoga pose. This isn't a terribly long hold, about 2 minutes here. So you can find a spot that feels pretty good. You can reach your fingertips if it feels nice out in front of you. And here, just turning my head up so you can hear me a little better. You can keep your forehead on the floor. Take a deep breath in. And a nice big sigh out. Let your hips grow heavy towards your heels. And now see if with each breath in, you can direct the breath from the lungs up through the shoulders, through the upper arms, through the forearms, to the palms of the hands, to the tips of the fingers. And then with each exhale, as that breath sinks out of the fingertips, the hands, the wrists, the elbows, the armpits, and the shoulders, you just let everything go. You relax a little more. Inhale, filling up all the way to the fingertips. Exhale, relaxing as the breath leaves the body. Again, deep breath in. Big sigh out. And with the next inhale, you could begin to walk your fingertips in towards you. Here you might like to swing your legs out to one side. And again, place the soles of your feet on the floor. Walk your hands a little back behind you. You can do those windshield wipers or anything else that just loosens things up a bit. And come back to the center line as you inhale.
this last pose, we're going to use most of our props, most of our accessories here. So you'll want, first of all, your large bolster or bolster-like prop back at the very end of your mat. And then on either side of your mat, about 2/3 of the way down, you're going to want to place your block-like little pillow, little book-like props. And you will sit here with your hips snuggled right up against your bolster. If you like to use your blanket, you might draw your blanket over you. I'll leave mine down here at my feet so you can see what I'm doing, at least for now. And what you're going to do here is take your knees out to the sides. The soles of your feet go together. And you can prop any height of prop here underneath the knees. And then lie yourself back for a Supta Baddha Konasana. As you come into this Supta Baddha Konasana, you can let your arms come wide. And know that, of course, you only stay with the knees open, especially as long as it feels good. You can always adjust, extend the legs, or bring the soles of the feet to the floor if needed. Take your time to settle in. As you begin to find your pose, your place of comfort, take a deep breath in and a big breath out. And as you breathe in again, feel the breath expanding the lungs, the belly, the hips, the thighs, the knees, the ankles, the feet, the shoulders, the elbows, the palms of the hands, all the way up through the back of your neck to the crown of your head, so you feel like you're bursting with breath. And then as you exhale, feel that breath melt as it leaves your body, leaving your muscles soft and relaxed. You can repeat that as many times as you like, inhaling. Fill the lungs, the belly, the hips, the legs, the arms, the hands, the feet, the head. Exhale, relax the lungs, the belly, the hips, the legs, the arms, the hands, the feet, the head. So that with each breath, you find yourself relaxing a little more. With each breath, you find yourself sinking a little deeper. With each breath, you let go a little more, a little more, a little more.
to stay here for another 5 or 10 minutes if you can. Just enjoying this quiet space. You are needing to move on with your day, you can join me in drawing the knees in, soles of the feet again on the floor. Perhaps swaying a few times, the knees side to side. Eventually making your way all the way over to one side. Or using your hands to press yourself to a comfortable seated position. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this practice had some benefit for you. Have a wonderful afternoon. Namaste.